Yes, so our program today is our soon-to-be District Governor, Jim Boyle. He's going to be giving us a program titled The Future of Rotary. Some fun facts about Jim. He's been married to his wife, Nancy, for over 40 years. They have one son, Ryan, and he has two grandchildren. He spent 30 years in business, culminating as a senior executive of two consumer electronic companies. Currently, he's working as a home builder and developer. He received an undergraduate degree in finance with an emphasis in marketing and in psychology, an MBA from NIU, and he's an adjunct professor at George Fox, Warner Pacific, and Marylhurst University. In his free time, he enjoys playing pickleball, hiking, biking, swimming, international travel, and reading. If you can please join me in welcoming Jim Boyle.
Gosh, thank you very much for that warm introduction. It's really interesting when we're talking about the future of Rotary. It's actually, you could almost retitle this as calling it the Rotary Christmas Carol, because you have to have the past and the present to look at the future. It's interesting as we sit here, we sometimes forget that Rotary is over 115 years old. And if you had a line for the first 100 years, you would see it growing each and every year over that line, right? And unfortunately, over the last 15 years, it's been stagnant. You've heard the story, 1.2 million people, but it's been that way for 15 years. So that kind of raises the question about what happened. Well, it's interesting. If we took a look at the markets and you took a look at North America, where Rotary International is headquartered, in North America, that includes Canada as well as US, it's been declining. In Europe, actually, it's been stagnant or remaining the same. And overseas in India and Asia, it's been growing, and Africa as well. In fact, it's interesting, there's 550 people in our headquarters, 775 total employees of Rotary International, and there are 7 overseas offices that take care of 20 other countries that have at least 12 different languages that they're translating and working on. So I sit there and say, if this continues, Rotary International may end up moving or having a second headquarters overseas. There's a lot of things that are going on. In terms of the district, let's take a little closer look on that. The district in the last 14 or 15 years, which parallels to what's happened at Rotary International, has on average lost 1 Rotary Club a year. So that's approximately 40 to 50 people. And so on top of that, we've gone from 4,000 members to 3,200. But interesting enough, that hasn't affected our service hours or our contributions to the TRF, the Rotary Foundation. So think about it. Do we have the same or greater commitment, and both in terms of service and contributions to the financial vehicle that makes it happen, or are we challenged? So let's take a look at your club too, to get a little brief. Over the last 14 or 15 years, Forest Grove has gone from 81 members to 88 members today. Well, guess what? That's one of the few clubs in the district that has actually grown. And that's because, primarily, as we talked about when we were just having a conversation, a lot of it has to do with the satellite club and looking at different alternative models. I find it interesting to take a look at the finances associated with the operations and with membership. So if we took a look at let's just take a look at the first 100 years of Rotary International. This is mind-boggling when you really think about it. There were only 2 years that Rotary International did not grow in membership. So from the time of inception, for the 100 years, Only the Spanish, excuse me, the flu in 1918 and the Great Depression in 1932 did Rotary not grow in aggregate numbers. I found it amazing that throughout the cycle, only two things happened. Now, interesting, in the last 15 years, there has been two years where we did not grow. The Great Recession, as well as this year with COVID. So if you took a look at this, I wanted to also share with you some very positive aspects to this, because the greatest growth that occurred in the history of Rotary International in terms of membership and TRF in percentages was the year after the flu in 1919. Rotary grew more. I believe we are ripe because people are dying to be connected and to make a difference. And I believe as we start to move out of COVID, we have a great opportunity in front of us. Now, before we get there, I think we have to take a look at some conditions today and really ask ourselves some tough questions. So we'll move from the Christmas past to the Christmas present. You know, prior to COVID, nobody would have thought of Microsoft Teams or Zoom or technology. We were even talking about having what we call VIP or virtual in-person meetings. You know what? It's also what we didn't know is what effect did it have on adult learning? Because we found out adults, unlike children in school, can't be sitting for a long time in front of the computer to learn. That made us do a couple of different things. What about the touch points for engagements? And today, let's look at the influences. Unfortunately, we have some, let's just call it challenges that are going on in the media. And this is no reflection on social media, but we've actually had a president that has been censored on Facebook. So it's interesting what's going on in our world and the influences that are beginning to affect us. And also we have the challenge with what's currently going on with diversity. I think, and this is just this one individual's humble opinion, is we need to take a really close look at ourselves if we want to change. And what I mean by that is, and I found myself doing this as well, is sometimes we find ourselves, if we're not in agreement, that we don't take the next step to understand. I would love us today to change that mindset and just take a look at accepting individuals, then asking the questions to understand them so that we can find the common ground to be in agreement and develop. So I'll ask us today to take a look at acceptance versus agreement in order for us to be a little bit more open and not as, let's just say, reliant upon what we are getting fed. So there's one other area, and this is interesting as well. We talk about talk about emotional intelligence and what that has to do with us and where we're at. Well, I would throw this out to the group. Given that what was going on with the circumstances nationally for us and also internationally for the world, Rotary International has created a pandemic task force that has been resulted in global grants all over the world that has helped us deliver food for insecurity purposes. We've had tremendous impact. We've also created a Rotary International DEI task force, which is there to help us. So Rotary International today is creating the foundation for us to respond to circumstances that have had, let's say, affected us in terms of growth and also in terms of trying to create solutions. And I look at this as we have to be okay with being uncomfortable being able to talk about things. Our disaster relief grant, the World Fund has never spent more money than it has this year. And that's because of what we've done with disaster relief grants, putting them $25,000 has been allocated for each and every district throughout the world. And there's 530 some odd districts. That money is available for us to help. So there's a response. So the vehicle by which we make an impact is there. But then it has to ask us, we have to ask the question. If there's a, let's look at where we are. If there's 150,000 people that come into Rotary every year, and there's 150,000 people that leave, out of those people, 30% of that 150 leave in the first year. So the question is, I'd love everybody to think about this. We'll get to questions and answers. I promise I won't be long-winded here. I would ask everyone to ask themselves, why did you join Rotary? I have a brief comment, and it's rather self-effacing for me on a story. In my business career, I was better known in Hong Kong than I was in my own community. I would travel every quarter to China, to go to inland China to look at 2 factories that we were, and we'd have board meetings over in Hong Kong. And honestly, I was away from home and not making an impact. So it was more about selfishly about my success than it was about significance. And in my background, it was all about turnaround. So I would come into businesses and do turnarounds. Well, you're saying, what does this have to do with Rotary? Well, allow me to share something with you. When I left that corporation, I resigned because I found out that I climbed along the wrong ladder. I was climbing a ladder of success, and what I really was looking for was significance. And when I joined Rotary, I was trying to make connections to the people in the community. It wasn't necessarily about service. But guess what? Our first service project was about helping out women who were battered and children that were coming from emotionally and physically damaged homes. And all of a sudden, they came back, and the kids and the moms told us what significant contributions we made to their lives, how their lives have changed. They started over, and right there I was hooked. Well, so if it took that project for me to find significance, it didn't have anything to do with networking. It didn't have anything to do with my perfect attendance. It really had to do with how to make an impact, or how to make a difference. So that leads us to the question for all of us to answer going forward. Who is our customer? I think in the past, we may have looked at the customer as the community we are serving. I would like us to change that. I'd like us to prayerfully consider that our customer is really the members of our club, and the club leadership is responsible for serving those club members. I think Forest Grove's done a great job in that, but I think the future of Rotary is relying upon that, because the members, once they're served and needs are met, they in turn will go out and serve the community. So then the next question is, because of my business background, what's the product that we're selling? The product that we're selling is not our service projects. The product we're selling is our club experience. So if it's rewarding and fulfilling, it's almost like the creation of a law of attraction. So what binds us together then? And how do we make that happen in the future? Well, I kind of look at a couple of things. This year, we changed up, and Bryce will be happy to tell you this. We kind of took a different view as we're looking to train, for lack of a better word, coach, mentor incoming club presidents and leadership, we're looking at flexibility, impact, reach, and engagement. And that, I'll say, the acronym of FIRE. Well, what if we're focusing on that as opposed to membership goals or TRF monies or public image activities, I think we're better served because that's serving the member. Are we flexible enough? Obviously, Forest Grove is doing a great job with the satellite club and being flexible and looking at alternatives. That has helped you create an impact and an integration. You've obviously done a great job with your service projects and whatever's on your social media because of your, unfortunately, COVID affected your car show, but you're still doing a great number of things in the community. So you're helping engagement and touch points. So then I'd look at, let's take a look at something then. Let's look at what the future looks like then. So if we need to grow Rotary, and so what does grow mean? Let's take the all-encompassing word. Grow means if you want the world to change, you got to grow yourself. So Rotary provides an unbelievable amount of leadership development for individuals. I always say Rotary, and I actually said this to our Rotary international director, Vicki Pulitz. I said, Rotary is a membership organization that develops leaders who conduct service. So you think about that. That's not just a service organization, it's a membership organization that develops leaders to conduct service. I think when you develop leaders, you raise the bar or the boat, if you will. In the future, for district, what we're going to do is we're not going to, this coming year, just as I think, Julia, you said you had some extra monies left over, the district obviously did as well. So this year, we're going to put no district dues, make sure I say this correctly, that doesn't say anything about Rotary International, but there will be no district dues charged for new members this year, the next Rotary year. So we're investing where we see. We're also investing in board development. We're also looking at what we can do to help clubs define success and achieve success. So if we adopt a servitude leadership model, both at the club level and the district level, the purpose of the district is to serve and support clubs. Well, how do you do that? Well, the clubs have to be able to define what success is, and then the district has to help the club achieve that. We're not dictating as a district what success is for clubs. So the future really, it calls for more responsibility for the board and for the leadership of the club to define success, and that's hopefully through your vision facilitation that you're going to do with your action plans. And as such, then we think we got a pretty good pathway to making the future a little bit better. I would like to just kind of share with you a couple of other things. If you took a look at the changes that have occurred just recently in the district, grow, serve, and change, I think are the three words I would say for the future. And if you took a look at that, so in our district, we've utilized REAL, which is a learning program for Rotarians to enhance their leadership development and Rotary knowledge. We've created new committees. We've created a technology and communication committee so that we can help clubs with hybrids, and also we created a video studio in our district office, and that's going to be available to any and all clubs for their use to communicate. We've actually created a crisis management team so that God knows there could be something, but we're prepared and handle it, and we recently passed that. We also created a learning and development committee, not a training department, so that we will have an individual learning development program for people if they so choose. We created a new pets format. We've had pre-pets, we'll have post-pets. That's never before happened. We are looking at surveying each and every member so that we can get information, so that we can be more appropriate and have a what I'll call a targeted effort in marketing. We believe that creating stronger and more vibrant clubs will be absolutely beneficial to the future of Rotary. So we are going to partnership to expand our reach with Habitat for Humanity. We're going to do bikes for kids. We're going to create 3 new clubs and 10 new satellite clubs. We've created a video for the Power of One to help attract potential members. We're going to reward sponsors. We're going to create a story slam, which is a contest where people can go to the international convention for the winner. And we'll have $500 for all the regional winners. More to come on that next month. There's a lot of things we're doing here to help the future of Rotary, both from the standpoint of Forest Grove and from the standpoint of building clubs. What does a thriving club look like? I would ask you to take a look at these 7 elements and ask yourself, I believe Forest Grove is really a thriving club. And I'd ask yourself, are you a thriving club, and will this be a pathway for a successful and sustainable future? Do you have a clear purpose? Do you have dynamic leadership based upon what I've seen in the past and current and future? You've already told me you've got your PEN and your PE already lined up after Bryce. That's amazing. Do you involve your members? What percent are involved? What goals do you have to that? Do you have an orientation program? Are you diverse? Do you have socials? Are you attractive enough? Do you have vibrant meetings? Do you have meaningful service projects? I call it go mad, make a difference. What are you doing internationally? Do you have youth exchange? Do you support RILA? Do you do a group study? Do you even participate in international service? I know Claudia just got back from Mexico with a service project. Fiscally sound, are you fiscally sound? Those are the things that make up a thriving club. And I think Forest Grove is exactly that. I think those are the elements to create a viable future for Rotary. In closing, I'd ask you to take a look and take a look and consider these 5 areas. Serve and love your club members. Build relationships. I believe wholeheartedly, if you serve your club members, they in turn will serve the community. I'd ask you to be creative. In fact, we're having discussions about creating an award to give out next year at our club and district celebration in May. And it's going to be called FAIL. That means first attempt in learning. If you're creative and try something, you're going to be rewarded for it. The only thing we're afraid of is maybe our egos getting bruised. Be creative and look for that area. I'd ask you to consider being operationally excellent. Just because we're a nonprofit organization does not give us the right to slide. What I mean by that is operational excellence is being fiscally sound and doing effective and efficient things. The 4th thing I'd like you to consider is the succession planning with board development. I know you have the succession planning in place, but I'm wondering how much board development is going on. And we as a district will support that endeavor. In fact, we're talking to building champions right now about how we can build better boards for our Rotary clubs. And the 5th, is I would emphasize core values, because these are what bring us together. You know, so often we get sidetracked by certain things that are sometimes divisive. And I would ask us to revisit our core values of fellowship, leadership, integrity, diversity, and service. I believe those things tie us together worldwide and also in our Rotary clubs, as they say. If we do that, I believe we will grow Rotary. I believe we'll serve and meet the unmet needs. And I believe we'll be able to make the change necessary in ourselves so that we can change the world. I'm open to questions. And in fact, I have several topics if to help you stir it. If you have any general questions, great. If not, I'd love to talk offline to any of you. Julia, Bryce, I'll turn it back.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Yeah, so if you have a question for Jim, please take yourself off of mute and go ahead and ask.
Hey, Jim, this is Ken Cunningham.
Okay.
One of the things that you said in there that really caught my attention was the fact that we have to be flexible for our members. And my daughter just got done going through college, and she went to Western Governors University. And this is an example of a organization that has changed itself to become more flexible for the people. They don't charge by the credit hour, they charge by the semester. And you can take as much as you want in a single semester. So that is how I see we can mold away from what has been in the past and move it towards the future. What do you think would be that we could use some type of a model of that nature going forward?
So, Ken, that's a great question. I'm not being a smart aleck when I ask you this preliminary question to answer yours. What are the two most important factors today in young professionals? Time and money.
Right. Okay.
I think if we focus our programs on time and money, we have the opportunity to attract. So, like I said before, perfect attendance is not what's important, perfect engagement. So, how do you get young professionals? I've actually had clubs that are going to tier their due structure. We've had clubs that are actually looking at not making being more flexible in terms of meetings. Go to 2 meetings a month. One of them could be administrative, one can be a program. Some others are going to just one social and one meeting and one service. So it's really up to the club what makes that up. Do you know the average age in Rotary? Ken, I'm sorry if I'm long-winded on this answer, but the average age in Rotary, not in our district, is 59 and a half years of age. The average workforce, the average individual in the workforce today is 38 and a half years of age. Are we attracting young professionals? In Rotary, young professionals are considered under 40. Nationally, in North America, we're at 5.5% of young professionals. In our district, and we've focused on this greatly, we are at 10.5% or almost twice the national average. So our attempt is to attract young professionals. What does that look like? Well, we got to be okay asking them what they want. Do you get what I mean? I don't know if we do that. I had an instance. How much I could go on and talk. Julia, please stop me if I go too far. But there was an instance in our club where there was a 23-year-old that came to our club meeting. I watched him. I got there late, so I was watching him because he was new. And I'm looking. And at the end of the meeting, he got up and started to walk out. Like nobody talked to this guy. So I chased him, asked him for coffee, had a meeting with him. Ken, I mean, it was amazing to me. Guess what? He ended up joining our satellite club. The reason I'm saying that is because we reached out, made the connection, asked him what he would be interested in and how we might be able to connect him. What we don't know. That's why I asked everybody here on the call, why did you join Rotary? Well, once we understand why they joined Rotary, it's easier to meet their needs. But I don't know if we take that time. Sometimes we assume. So I'll ask, this is a difficult question. You guys can talk among yourselves. I'm not trying to cause a schism among your club. I would ask each of you to look at everyone that you've been in your club and ask yourself, do I know the reason why each of these members joined Rotary? It would be a wonderful exercise to discuss because you know what? You know each other for a long time, but you don't know why they joined. Maybe you may not know why they stayed. So when you ask the question, sorry if it's long-winded, and I'm just an opinionated SOB, I'd like us to start forming, that's what I meant by love your members and serve your members. Is that a fair, did I answer your question?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
God, with that long-winded answer, maybe no one wants to ask another question. Julia, I would like to make one comment about Rotary International and what it's doing. This is really going to blow people away. Rotary International has created a task force that is entitled Shaping Rotary's Future. And what it is they're saying, okay, if we started Rotary International today, what would it look like? So this long-term visionary task force is taking a look at what Rotary would look like today. So I'm interested to see how that comes out and what's in place, or what discussion and topics they have in play. So we'll see what that looks like. And you know what? I'm looking forward to helping and serving this club in the coming year. As your district governor, I will serve you to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Julia, I had a thought I wanted to share with the club. Is that okay? Well, what I guess I'll just go ahead and go. What I wanted to say is that part of the flexibility that came out, the conversations around flexibility and adaptability going forward and around young professionals is around the meeting time. What we're finding is that young professionals, the middle of the day does not work. And so what was fascinating for Pamela Jean and I when we've traveled through Europe is that the preponderance of clubs are evening clubs, and that and or a hybrid option where you're on the Zoom, but you're in the meeting together, person to person and stuff. These are avenues that are being looked at, not by just clubs in our own district, but at clubs throughout the entire zone, which includes Canada. So we need to take this opportunity that's in our minds and that is presented to us at this time, and we need to think outside the box about how we can reach out to young professionals who have more time to do service work, but they're not going to come in the middle of the day for a bad chicken lunch. They want to do service projects on the weekends and social events, and they want to be mentored. So with some of that, because we do have very positive and growing Rotaract clubs that are young professionals. So when I'm talking to them, these are the things that are making them grow and change. So I just put it out there to the club that we need to think about how we can morph, adapt, change, or make an addition to what we offer so that we can take the entire collective wisdom of who's on this call right now and pass it on, because that is our responsibility to pass on our wisdom to the generation behind us so that they can then step on our shoulders to make a better world. So, you know, I just kind of put that out there for people to chew on.
Well said, Janine. Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Jim? Or any comments? Okay, well, thank you so much, Jim. We're going to hopefully get to see you again in person during this next Rotary year. And I'm sure Bryce will set something wonderful up with that. And just as a quick update, I heard back from Jeff Dyke. He said thumbs up. So we'll go ahead and start planning another steak sale. I see Father's Day is Sunday, June 20th. So we'll plan for a pickup of those steaks the Thursday prior. So Thursday, June 17th at 4:30 to 6 p.m. So go ahead and get those steak orders in. But once again, thank you so much, Jim, for being here. It's great to see you, to hear from you. I love how accessible all of our district governors are at Rotary, just very, genuine, giving, and approachable people. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Julia. Appreciate it. Thanks.